So today we got going on for you guys is actually the X Games 2015 recap. If you guys missed it, we got some interesting information to talk about, some cool things to mention throughout the tournament, and also what is to come with roster media. We might make that at the end of this video, or we might make a completely separate video. It just depends on how long this one goes for. So my goal is to not make this a video. My goal is to not make this video super long, but I want it to be as informative and as helpful as possible. By the way, my trip was absolutely phenomenal. It was great. Went on a cruise for like 3 or 4 days. So it was 10 days. I was gone for 10 days. But, like I said, X Games 2015 held in Austin this year consisted of a $50,000 prize pool. All of these 8 teams were the top 8 from Season 2. Now, this is basically the Season 2 playoffs. Is exactly what it's called. It's Season 2 playoffs at the X Games. Do I like that? It's okay. It's a good alternative to promote, you know, certain teams and whatnot to actually do well in the league and try to get in the league. Along with $50,000, you also get awarded the gold medal or the silver medal or the bronze medal. But still, we're going to go over the overall placings. Coming in 7th through 8th was TCM and Envy. Coming in 5th through 6th was Denial and Rise. 4th came Team Caliber. 3rd came Team Elevate. Coming in 2nd was FaZe Clan, and 1st, none other than Optic Gaming. Now what we're going to do is go over each team. So we're going to talk about them specifically team by team. I don't want to go over everything, but I want to talk about these teams individually because there's only 8. It's not that hard to talk about each team in particular, and when I think it'd be a lot easier to do it as a format for these type of you know, league tournaments and whatnot. So let's go and start off with the first team, which is going to be TCM. So TCM obviously placed 7 through 8 of this tournament. I'm honestly not happy overall looking at their placing. You know, 7 through 8 along with Envy. Someone has to get 7 through 8, but I really didn't think it's going to be TCM. I believe in my predictions I had them around like 4th or 5th. You know, regarding that, it's not that big of a deal that they're this far, but still, you know, the roster of TCM is obviously Moose, Shane, Jared, and Madcat. They've been doing phenomenal in the Pro League, to be honest with you, and a lot of people have been saying, you know, they're just online warriors, and I've been kind of like disregarding that. I'm like, there's no way they're just online warriors to performing how well they had been, and their performance at G3 playing very well there as well. So it's pretty interesting. I'm not sure how this TCM team is going to do. We're going to look at how their bracket kind of play went through. Starting off with the winner's bracket. Their first team that they played was actually Elevate, and Elevate ended up 4-0ing them very, very easily. They played the loser's bracket. Obviously, you lose, you go down the loser's bracket. Pretty simple. You know, looking at how this tournament works. It's not that hard to understand. You know, you lose a match, you go down the loser's bracket. It's a double elimination tournament. So if you get you know, beat once, you're not out yet. But like I said, you have to come back strong. You have to make that run through the loser's bracket, which they were unable to do. They ended up playing TK and ended up losing 4-2. As far as I know, Madcat and Jared played pretty well throughout this tournament. Shane had some good moments, but this team, to me, TCM has to do something, and I don't know if it's their roster. Obviously, they made it into Season 3. They're one of the top 8 teams. That's phenomenal for them. As far as 7 through 8, I'm not surprised with this placing from TCM, but I thought that they might do a little bit better, especially with how they've done in past you know, matches online. Next team we got also placing 7th through 8th was Envy, and along with TCM, they ended up winning $3,000 each, along with 7,000 pro points. But obviously, Envy's roster, if you guys already know, it's Saints, Looney, Teep, and Proofy. Pretty good lineup. I like this team a lot, to be honest with you. They have some really, really strong players. As far as the league goes, they end up, I can't remember their exact placing in the league. They had won like 11 or 12 matches straight in the league. They went from like being 11th and 10th to like zooming up to like 4th place in the league at one point. So they've been showing a lot of you know, promise in the Pro League Season 2. They've done pretty well. That roster is pretty good, I'm not gonna lie, but placing 7th through 8th, I even mentioned this on Twitter, they cannot be happy with that placing. Let's go and look at Team Envious's overall bracket run. Obviously, they first started off playing against FaZe. They ended up losing to FaZe 4-1, which would obviously knock down Envy to the loser's bracket. Facing off against Rise, I did not predict this at all. I had FaZe beating Envy in like a 4-3. I thought that was going to be one of the best matches of the tournament, and FaZe obviously ended up dominating them 4-1. And like I said, Envy ended up playing Rise. Rise ended up 4-3ing them. One of the only, if not the only, Game 7, you know, series that we had. And it was a pretty good matchup. Rise came out very strong in the last Search and Destroy, ended up closing it out. But still, that is not what Envy needs. Rise is a good team. Don't get me wrong. They were both, I believe Rise was 6th. in seed-wise and also in the league, and I believe Envy, like I said, was 7th. So regarding that, Rise should have won that, but looking at how the roster stand out, Envy just to me, not a very good performance, and I'm not happy, to say the least, if I'm Team Envious. Looking at our next team, who placed 5th through 6th, was actually Denial, the Call of Duty World Champions, consisting of Replays, Attached, Clayster, and JCap. They've been regarded as a team that's literally fell off recently in past events, and to be honest, they haven't really been competing in a lot of these tournaments. A lot of teams have said they didn't really show up at a lot of these tournaments and whatnot. It's because they literally didn't show up. They did not play. You know, Attach at times hasn't been able to go to tournaments. I believe Replays filled in for a team the last event. But Denial, let's go and look at their bracket run. They ended up playing off the bat. Rise ended up 4-0ing them. So that was pretty surprising. I thought that match might be a little bit closer. Denial definitely was my pick, but a 4-0 sweep, that's definitely ideal if you're Denial. You want to start off hot. You want to start off in a good, vibes and whatnot. Ended up 4-0ing Rise. Later went on to play FaZe, where they would get 2 forwards, so FaZe ended up beating them. FaZe really had a lot of runs. FaZe did very, very well. They beat teams like Envy, like, Denial. They ended up, I think they beat Elevate as well, so FaZe had a very good run. We'll talk about them in a minute. But Denial ended up going down to the losers bracket, where they would play TK. My goodness, TK really surprised me this tournament. I had them where basically TCM or Envy were, which is like 7th through 8th, and TK ended up beating Denial 4-1. One of the most surprising matches, outcomes that I've seen for this entire tournament. 5th through 6th, not ideal, to say the least, for any of these teams. I know no team wants to get 7th through 8th, but still not ideal for the world champion. Next team we had, also placing 5th through 6th along with Denial, getting 8,000 pro points and overall $4,000, was none other than Rise. The roster of Rise is actually Chino, Wheats, Theory, and Neslo. Pretty good roster, I'm not gonna lie. This team to me placed exactly where I thought they would. They were like 5th, I think they were 6th in the overall pro league, and ended up finishing 5th or 6th. So kind of staying average with how they did online. A pretty good team. They're not the best, they're not the worst either. They definitely showed that this tournament had some really good moments. We're going to go over Rise's overall tournament run. Ended up playing Denial off the bat, like we said just a second ago. Ended up getting 4-0'd by Denial. So definitely not what you want to have off the bat. Later went on to play Envy, where they would 4-3 them. Like I said, that was one of the more surprising wins for them that really kind of shocked me a little bit. After that win against Envy, they would later go on to play Elevate, who had an insane tournament. Ended up losing to Elevate in a 4-0 fashion. So ended up losing 4-0, ended up 4-3ing Envy, and later got 4-0'd again. So unfortunate plays out of the boys over on Rise. I think they could have gone a little bit farther had they not played a team like Denial. I think they could have gone a lot farther. But Rise, I wouldn't say like average, but this is at least one of the teams where I projected them to be where they were. And overall, they played pretty consistently. They beat a couple good teams, but also lost to some good teams there as well. So, as far as Rise goes, great. I have no idea what to say for that. Next team we have was actually Team Caliber. I had Team Caliber placing 7th or 8th of this tournament. Kind of surprised me. Ended up placing 4th, got 9,000 pro points along with $6,000. That roster consisting of Sharp, Goonjar, Nameless, and Parasite. This team has been looking like the #1 team to make a roster change coming out of X Games. And as far as that happens, I'm pretty sure they will. But still, last tournament most likely for this roster. They're not in the medals, but they played pretty well. 8th in the league, getting 4th overall in this playoffs setting. Not too bad, I'm not gonna lie. That was not a bad run for them. We're gonna take a look at their run for TK. Ended up playing Optic Gaming off the bat. Ended up getting 4-1. They took a map off of them. Only one of the 2 maps OG would lose this entire tournament, which was, I believe, a Search and Destroy. But still, TK ended up losing to OG, which would knock them down to the losers bracket. They would go on to play TCM, which I actually had TCM moving on. I thought TCM would be a lot more together. However, didn't actually go down. So TK ended up beating TCM to move on to play against Denial. Denial obviously lost to FaZe, but played TK. Denial ended up losing to TK, which, like I said, knocked Denial out of the tournament. That completely set me for a whirlwind. I was like, what happened? Like, how does that happen? Denial loses to TK. TK later goes on to play against Elevate, where they would get 4-1. Elevate was kind of like the finisher, like finished off just about every single team. But still, TK had a pretty good run, had some good moments for them. I believe one of their players might have been like Nameless, had like one of his best events for Advanced Warfare. So, shout out to TK. I'm not sure how long they're gonna last, but still, had a pretty good last tournament, most likely for this roster. Ended up having, I think, the 8th seed coming into this tournament, barely making it in and securing that Season 3 spot. However, placing 4th, like I said, Team Caliber, props. I'll say that, props. Next team coming in 3rd was Elevate. Now, a lot of people wrote Elevate off. They ended up placing, I believe, 4th overall in the Season 2. You know, out of their whole record, they were like 4th. I think Denial barely beat them when it came to overall seeding and whatnot. But Elevate's roster, Slack, Classic, Tej, and Temp, group of young, talented players doing very well at this tournament, ended up getting that bronze medal. Major congratulations to Elevate. They definitely surprised me, along with a lot of people, I'm sure, at this tournament. Coming in 2nd here at X Games was none other than FaZe Clan. I definitely had FaZe in my top 2 for sure. Obviously, an Optic Gaming winning the entire tournament, which they would do, but still, FaZe, a very, very good roster, ended up getting that silver medal. The roster for FaZe is Enable, Slasher, Zuma, and Hook. Hook, absolutely a Don. Slasher can go off. Enable didn't have the best tournament, but still played very well, especially that captain role. This team is very good. This team is very talented, and overall, they were the best. I would say they were the most. FaZe, to me, is definitely in the top 2 conversation. You know, they're up there with a lot of these teams. You could say Elevate's up there at times. Denial, when they go off, could be there at times. I definitely think that FaZe, to me, is the 2nd best team in Call of Duty for right now. They have a very, very consistent group of players who can kind of compete with Optic at times and respawns and hard points and whatnot. So let's go and look at FaZe's run in the entire tournament. Ended up playing off the bat against Envy, 4-1 them. Later went on to face Denial, where they would 4-2 Denial. Later went on to play OG in the winners finals, where they would lose to OG 4-1. They would move down the losers bracket, play against Elevate, where they would beat Elevate, and they would rematch against Optic Gaming in the grand finals, where they would lose 4-0. Really unfortunate. I thought FaZe might be able to take at least a couple maps. I was really hoping that we might see a Game 7 or a Game 14, Round 11. You know, we go the distance. Unfortunately, didn't happen. We only saw 4 games, and Optic Gaming ended up sweeping FaZe. But like I said, FaZe ended up getting that silver medal. Major congratulations to FaZe. As far as Optic Gaming goes, Scum, Formal, Crim6, and Karma win 4 straight events in a row. They are looking very, very hot. And continuing on, the grand final, I wouldn't say like curse, but it's either Denial or Optic Gaming in the finals for every single tournament. Crim6 ended up getting 21 overall LAN wins, so he's at 21 right now. Aches, I believe, is in 2nd place with 19 still, so Crim looking good. And along with that, Scum getting his 2nd X Games gold medal, the only player to have done that, at least to this point. As far as Optic goes, this is their 2nd overall X Games victory. They obviously won last year in Ghosts. And honestly, Optic Gaming is looking very, very consistent. They're looking very, very strong. They're starting to get into that argument of one of the best teams of all time. We'll be talking about that in another video. We got all kinds of videos planned to talk about, and I apologize for this video being longer than I expected to be. But we'll talk about roster mania. We'll talk about why I don't think Optic Gaming is going to make a change for obvious reasons. But obviously, like I said, Optic Gaming playing very consistent. They only dropped 2 maps the entire tournament, both Search and Destroys, and they just dominated in the respawn. I think, honestly, the X Games format, best of 7, was definitely favored into the slang-heavy teams. Not a surprise that the 2 best slang teams were in the grand finals, Optic Gaming and FaZe, and Optic Gaming showed their dominance, why they're the best team in the game. And it's really scary, to be honest, when the 2nd best team loses in a very, you know, bad way to the best team. It's like you have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then you have 1st. Like, you can't even see my hand. It's like, here's Optic, and then here's FaZe, and then here's everyone else. It's like, there should be like teams like all around this top 1st area, teams that are close to Optic Gaming, but no one is there, at least not right now. We'll be talking about roster mania and stuff that happens in another video. I've said it like 20 times, but thank you guys so much for watching this video. X Games overall was a great event. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the entire thing. As far as it goes, you know, I really enjoyed the event. I thought it was ran very, very well, and you know, we'll see what happens. Relegation tournament coming up soon. I believe that's our next tournament, and I got some interesting news to talk to you guys about. Maybe some casting, possibly. We'll talk about that later. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to give it a nice thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Peace out.